So former NBA player Nick Anderson for the Orlando Magic destroys LeBron James. He goes NFL blitz mode on LeBron James. Nick Anderson goes Michael B. Jordan and centers on LeBron James. Nick Anderson, he stomps LeBron James out like Tupac did Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand back in 96. Nick Anderson literally spoils the glory and make the Nick Rights, aka the Nick Wrongs, the bronze sexual lovers, the LBJTQ. He brings their world to a nightmare. The ultimate Glazers has them drowning in their tears because these geeks believe that LeBron James is the GOAT. But here's what Nick Anderson had to say. So this article is per MSN Sports via Athlon Sports, and the headline reads, Magic Hall of Famer shares strong take on Michael Jordan and LeBron James. The article says, the GOAT debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James will likely never have a definitive answer. The ones who prefer Jordan's unquestioned dominance over the 1990s with 6 titles and 2 different three-peats won't change their mind. The same could be said about the ones who prefer LeBron James' incredible longevity and relative dominance in the era of greater parity. The article goes on to say, quote, former Orlando Magic point guard Nick Anderson opened up on the GOAT debate in an interview with Scoop B, declaring that the man he eliminated from the 1995 NBA playoffs, Michael Jordan, is the GOAT. He goes on to say, quote, I don't think it complicates things. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the best player that I've ever faced. No disrespect to LeBron. You had to live through MJ to really understand. It's truly mind-boggling how these sports writers and these anchors keep running with this narrative that LeBron James deserves to be in a conversation with Michael Jordan. Just look at the example of the comparison that they made. The ones who prefer Jordan's unquestioned dominance over the 90s with 6 titles, 6 championship titles, and 2 different three-peats. Like, why would that change their mind against someone who's never dominated in their era? Steph Curry is eaten in LeBron James' era. Steph Curry defeated LeBron James 3 times in the NBA Finals. Kawhi Leonard has won rings in the LeBron James era. Kobe Bryant won rings in LeBron James era. Giannis Antetokounmpo has won championships in the so-called LeBron James era. Nikola Jokic. I mean, the list goes on. Not to mention when we speak about LeBron James's longevity, everything that LeBron James is trying to accomplish in a long period of time in his career, MJ had already accomplished it with less. So there's no conversation. LeBron James already know that the bar is set too high for him to even reach. And the same thing applies for the Kobe Bryant and LeBron James discussion. Kobe set the bar too high for LeBron James to even reach. LeBron James has had far more talented teammates alongside him than Michael Jordan. LeBron James just lost the first round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And remind you, Luka Doncic just reached the finals last year. He was just recently in the finals. So you have a teammate with finals experience. LeBron James has been to countless finals, has far more playoff experience than Anthony Edwards and his entire team, and he still couldn't get the job done. LeBron James, he isn't even the bootleg version of Michael Jordan. It's time to put the conversation to rest. I mean, I'm confused. Why is this even a debate? What the hell is LeBron James? LeBron James in no era can never be the GOAT. LeBron ain't no GOAT. LeBron James is the GRCOAT. Yes, I said it, the GRCOAT. Let me spell it for you. GRCOAT. The greatest red career of all time. LeBron James has the greatest script in NBA history. Even considering with LeBron James' height and size and these supposedly big muscles, you would think that LeBron James would be this dominant force offensively and defensively. You would think that no one would get past LeBron James. You would think LeBron James would have 12 all-defensive first teams. You would think that LeBron James would have at least 3 defensive players of the year. He doesn't even have 1, and Michael Jordan has 1. You would think that LeBron James would have 8 regular season NBA MVPs. Even Nick Anderson. Think about Michael Jordan and Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson is known for his infamous steal against Michael Jordan. But funny thing is that Michael Jordan doesn't have too many of those moments. But when it comes to LeBron James, there are players has plenty infamous moments of shutting down and locking down LeBron James, such as Kawhi Leonard, such as J.J. Barea, such as Andre Iguodala, such as Kobe Bryant, such as Lance Stevenson, such as Anthony Edwards. So many compilation videos of LeBron James and his overrated defense. But you don't see too many moments of someone getting the best or locking down Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. Here is yet again another former RBA player who has played against Michael Jordan, who has played in the golden era of basketball, where basketball was at its peak with competition, where defense was far more physical. So he's clearly coming from an unbiased perspective. He actually played against Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan has stopped Nick Anderson, Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most dominant big men in the world. He stopped them from winning championships. Everything that Nick Anderson is saying is more than likely the conversation that's being had throughout the RBA. They don't even think that LeBron James is better than Kobe Bryant. Majority of former RBA players don't even think that LeBron James shouldn't even be in a discussion with Michael Jordan. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan was 6'8", 250 pounds, pure muscle, and was on steroids allegedly? It wouldn't even be fair. We're talking about a man with 6 championships, 5 regular season MVPs, 6 finals MVPs. What are we talking about? We're talking about a man in LeBron James who has had multiple super teams. Michael Jordan in the off season was practicing, working on getting better. LeBron James is more focused on, he's on social media explaining why he can't attend the Met Gala because his knee hurt. He got a boo-boo. Showed me clips of Michael Jordan laughing, interacting with the opposing team, laughing and joking with the opposing team while my team is losing and we're down. You're not going to be able to find it, but you can find clips of Kobe Bryant up 2-1 and say the job not finished. We still got work to do. That's the difference in mentality. If players like Nick Anderson guarded LeBron James his entire career, LeBron James would get shut down. He wouldn't average no 27 points per game. If he was guarded by some of the other elite high caliber defenders, LeBron James would average 6 points per game. Nick Anderson probably doesn't even believe that LeBron James is a better player than Penny Hardaway. LeBron James has had the most help of any other player in RBA history. LeBron James just needs to retire and upload his resume to Indeed. But do you really think that Michael Jordan, alongside a teammate like Luka Doncic, would take a gentleman's sweep against the Minnesota Timberwolves? If you put Michael Jordan on any of LeBron James' teams, even the 2017, if he advanced to the RBA Finals and played against the San Antonio Spurs, Michael Jordan would have won. If Michael Jordan was up 2-1 against the Golden State Warriors in 2014, Michael Jordan would have made sure he annihilated the Golden State Warriors, who had never been to the finals up until that point. But LeBron James has, and won 2 rigged RBA titles. Michael Jordan would have mopped the floor with the Warriors and would have won 4-2, even with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love out injured. But there's this conversation surfacing throughout social media of people asking the question, could 100 people beat a gorilla? But what we should be talking about is LeBron James versus 100 RBA finals. We know LeBron James will lose. Or how about LeBron James versus 100 chokes in the fourth quarter? LeBron James versus accountability. LeBron James versus 100 Diddy parties. LeBron James versus 100 books. LeBron James versus 100 Jordans. LeBron James versus 100 Kobe Bryants. We know that LeBron James would lose 100 times.